Good afternoon, welcome to VANIK-IAS. We'll discuss current affairs. First, we'll discuss objective questions. First, we'll complete the mains part, then we'll discuss objective questions. Okay. Why it was in news towards legalizing the same-sex marriage? Just a second. Okay. How do the fresh pleas in Supreme Court to seek recognize same-sex marriage? What are the existing rights of LGBTQIA people in India? Which are the judgments being cited by the petitioners, and where do other countries stand in same-sex marriage? Recently, just before yesterday, I think it has recognized that two lesbian couple have married and engaged to each other, right? And that is legally accepted by the court. The Supreme Court bench led by Chief Justice Ramya D.Y. Chandrachud in November 25 issued notices to the Centre and Attorney General of India seeking their response to two petitions filed by gay couples allowed to solemnization of the same-sex marriage under the Special Marriage Act of 1954. Special Marriage Act of 1954. Right. If we have already recognized India has already recognized the rights of the third gender, that is third gender, and given the legal rights to LGBTQIA community, right? Okay. The rationality behind it is that there will be we cannot discriminate on the basis of gender, right? Because of the biological preferences, because of the biology, we cannot discriminate on the basis of we cannot discriminate the people that is guaranteed under the Article 14 and 15 and on other equality before the law rights of our fundamental rights. Okay, so as we are recognizing the third genders and as we cannot discriminate on the basis of gender, so how can we discriminate on the basis of the choices based on which they will marry? Marriage is a personal affair and anybody can marry any person. That is what for that the petitions are filed by the court in Supreme Court. Okay. Special Marriage Act provides a civil form of marriage for couples who cannot marry under the personal law, and both the recent pleas seek to recognize same-sex marriage in relation to this act and not personal laws. The petition was filed by two men, Supriya Chakravarti and Abhay Dham, who have been a couple for 10 years, right? The petition argued that SMA has ultra-virus. Yes, SMA was ultra-virus of the Constitution to the extent that it discriminates between same-sex couples and opposite-sex couples. Okay, what is this ultra-virus? Ultra-virus means violation of the Constitution. Supreme Court has the right to decide whether a law is made by the Parliament is violation of the Constitution or not under Article 13, that is the judicial review, right? If a particular law made by the Parliament violates any principle of the Constitution, then that will be declared as the ultra-virus by the Supreme Court. Okay, so ultra-virus by the Supreme Court, and they argued that yes, this Special Marriage Act, it is ultra-virus to the Supreme Court because it do not recognizes the same-sex couples, because we cannot discriminate on the basis of gender under Article 14 and under Article 15, And nowhere in the constitution nowhere in the constitution it is mentioned to discriminate on the basis of gender, right? So based on gender preferences, based on biological preferences, any two persons can get together, so they can marry. So that is the argument. Okay. It stated that the act denied same-sex couples both legal rights as well as a social recognition and status that came from the marriage. Senior advocates Neeraj Kishan Kaul and Menika Guruswamy, right? Senior advocates Neeraj Kishan Kaul and Menika Guruswamy for the petitioner said that about 15 legislations which guaranteed the rights of wages, gratuity, adoption, surrogacy, so on other not available for LGBTQ plus communities, right? So now this is the issue. These issues of wages, rights of wages. Rights of wages means if husband dies, when is a government employee, all the social security facilities will the legal owner will be the wife, the first owner of his property. Then gratuity, right? Similarly, wages and gratuity. Gratuity means the particular amount that is given during the retirement. Adoption, in case of adoption, whether they have right to adopt a new child. If two men, they can adopt a new child also, right, as their child. They should have the right. This is what, because we cannot discriminate on the basis of gender, right? Now that is a question. Next is surrogacy also. Surrogacy, right? Surrogacy rights. They should have surrogacy rights. They can take the help of surrogacy and produce new child from them, right? So these are the rights that is demanded by the petitioners, and they said that this special Marriage Act do not recognize the rights of the LGBTQ communities. The petitions emphasize that SMA ought to apply marriage between two persons regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation. Regardless of their gender identity and sexual orientation. The other petition was filed by a same-sex couple for 17 years, Parth Firoz Mehrotra and Uday Raj Anand. Their counsel, senior advocate Mukul Rohtogi, argued that recognition of same-sex marriage was only a sequel or a constitution of the Navtej Singh Johar judgment of 2018, that is this decriminalizing homosexuality. This judgment is important. Navtej Singh Johar. Remember this judgment. This judgment of Supreme Court is important. That is Navtej Singh Johar judgment 2018, that has decriminalized homosexuality. And a Puttaswamy judgment, that is affirming the right to privacy is a fundamental right. Puttaswamy judgment. These two judgments are very important in terms of prelims perspective. Mr. Rohtogi said that petition didn't touch on personal laws but only sought to make 1954 gender neutral. And it didn't touch the personal laws. That means it is not saying that any law to be reformed. It is just saying that it should be gender neutral. That should not discriminate for the LGBTQ and plus communities. Therefore, Flea pointed out that while Section 4 of SMA permitted the Special Marriage Act permitted sole marriage of marriage between two persons, subsequent sections place restrictions. It says the use of Section 4C of the word male and female, as well as the use of gender language such as husband and wife and bride or bridegroom in other sections of the Act, limit the access to the marriage to a couple comprising of male and a female. So this Special Marriage Act, it recognizes marriages which are only between male and female. It do not recognize any marriage between two males or two females or any similar kind of marriage, right? So this, they need to make it gender neutral and that's not specify about the marriage between two persons. have similar petitions been filed? There are currently a total 9 petitions pending before High Court, Delhi and Kerala, seeking to recognize same-sex marriage under acts such as Special Marriage Act, the Foreign Marriage Act, and codified personal laws. On Friday, the Supreme Court bench of CJI Chandrachud and Dr. Hima Kohli transferred the various pending issues before the High Court to itself. That is what we call as certiorari. Certiorari, it is certiorari. It's under Article 32. The Supreme Court can take any cases that is usually dealt by the High Courts to itself, right? So CJI that has taken certiorari. It is one of the writ. It is one of the writ issued by Supreme Court. Writ jurisdiction of the Supreme Court comes under Article 32, that is right to constitutional remedies, right? One of the petitions also placed emphasis on another important judgment of the Apex Court. In the Nalsa versus Union of India judgment 2014, the court has said that the Nalsa versus Union of India judgment, the court has said that non-binary individuals are protected under the Constitution. Non-binary individuals are protected under the Constitution, and fundamental rights such as equality, discrimination, life, freedom, and so on could not be restricted to those who are biological male or female. That could not be restricted. Yes. So this is Nalsa judgment of 2014. Nalsa versus Union of India 2014. The court said that non-binary individuals, those who are not male or female, and they are also protected under the Constitution. Earlier, Supreme Court has said that they are minority minuscule. The word is said to them is minority minuscule, so that there will not be their rights will not be recognized. But after Nalsa versus Union of India judgment 2014, the Supreme Court said that they are protected under the Constitution, and fundamental rights such as equality, non-discrimination, freedom, life, freedom, and so on could not be restricted to those who are biological male or female. So based on the Nalsa judgment, Nalsa means National Legal Services Authority. National Legal Services Authority is a statutory body that came in 1995, right? 1995, based on Nalsa Act of 1987. Right? It is important for prelims. So this both based on this Nalsa judgment, the function of Nalsa is that to provide justice to the lowest section of the society, to provide justice to the deprived section of the society. Nalsa is constituted. Okay. Next, what is the judgment stand? Late the last year, while responding to the plea seeking recognition of same-sex marriage in Delhi High Court Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, the center has said that as per the law, marriage was permissible between a biological man and a biological woman. Right? In its affidavit opposing to the plea, center has said that acceptance of the institution of marriage between two individuals of the same gender is neither recognized nor accepted in any uncodified personal laws or any codified statutory laws. It has also argued against the urgency of the pleas by saying that nobody was dying in the absence of a marriage certificate. Right? So, how much it is a very controversial thing at present, that whether it is important or not, and marriage is a proper institution. Marriage is a social institution. It has so many functions. It has, right? And we cannot make every. It is also impossible. It is a very difficult task to make surrogacy laws as gender neutral, because if you are making or adoption laws as gender neutral, why? Because if you are adopting a gender, suppose two men are there and they are adopting a female. female child, there may be chances of sexual exploitation of that child, and we have numerous cases of sexual exploitation of children at present time. So, and how can we give, because there is also different roles of different genders in the society. For example, in case of nurturing of a child, for example, in case of nurturing of a child, there is different relevances of men and women. The things that are done by the women can never be done by a man. Generally that cannot be, because both have different compassional components. For example, in case of women, they are more responsible, more compassionate as compared to men. Right, men can fulfill the outside responsibilities and different. So there is a general clear-cut division of labor also based on compassional and biological physical features. There is division of labor in the society. Division of labor means a particular gender will do some particular things, right? And there will be different works will be done by different thing. Division of labor is not a wrong thing. It is generally it creates efficiency in every. We have to understand that in every bureaucracy, or we have to understand that in every organizations there are division of labor, right? In every organization, not all the jobs are done by every persons. It is clear cut division of labor. As the company grows more and more, the division of labor increases, and that brings efficiency. In households also we have a division of labor, so that every work will not be done by all the persons. Some work will be done by only by men, some work will be done by only by women, right? There is present the issue of women, the subjugation is present there, but we cannot say that the division of labor in a family is completely irrelevant, right? So far as the women, the way women can take care of the children and take care of the old persons, in the same way men usually they do not or cannot take same type of care. That's why if you are making everything gender neutral based on the equality before the law of Article 14 and 15, new challenges arises, right? And a marriage is an institution, it is a social institution. Anything that society doesn't recognize, it will be very difficult for the existence of those people that will create that will create a new, because the whole Indian society is based on the marriage system, right? The whole Indian society that is based on marriage system, and Indian marriage system is more successful as compared to Western marriage system. We have more stability, because if marital breakups happen at any point of cases, marital breakup may happen, right? If marital breakups happens, then it has widespread social responsibilities, widespread social consequences happens to both the families, both the men, both the women, both the families. They also go through mental trauma and mental tension, right? So these all different issues they arise. So recognizing the same sex marriage, or it is a difficult aspect. We don't know what are the social changes of it, because society may go through a situation of that is anarchy, one type of sudden change in the society that creates situation what is called as anomy. Anomy means normlessness. If such type of activities increase in the society, then there is chances of increase in crime, increase in such type of activities that can be there. Okay. So what is the recognition? That's why generally that is not a social institution. Society has not generally accepted generally our larger society has not accepted the marriage between two biological men. They can stay together. There is no issue in the society. If two men are staying together, there is no issues of the society. If two women are staying together, there is no issues of the society. So that's why maybe Supreme Court, the Delhi Solicitor General has argued such things, right? What about the other countries? What are the other countries? A total of 32 countries around the world have legalized same-sex marriage. some through legislation, while to other through judicial pronouncements. The many countries first recognized same-sex civil unions as escalated step to the recognize homosexual marriage. So you have to create awareness so that such type of institutions are recognized by the society itself, rather than forcing from the forcefully being done from the so top courts. One of the opinion is that take small steps like other countries. They have first they have recognized same-sex civil unions, right? Legalized same-sex marriages. Civil unions are partnerships of similar arrangements as marriages which provide legal recognition of unmarried couples of the same or opposite sex in order to grant them some of the rights that come with the marriage, for us inheritance. Right? Some of the rights such as the marriage, such as inheritance. Right? Inheritance. So if same-sex marriage happens, there are other various challenges. And what we will do? They have to adopt, because two men cannot produce a child. They will adopt, and if they have to adopt a man. They cannot adopt a girl. If they are adopting a child, now we have to think about the rights of the child. Whether both the men are taking care of the child properly, can they fulfill the roles played by women in the life of a child? That is the rights of the the rights of the child is also come into question, right? So men can do the rights of the child, or if there are women, suppose two women are marrying, so a child also, they need the both. Child needs both parents and mother. Both man and female, mother and father, and both have different roles in the development of a child. That is how the society is built, and that is how usually the things are. How these challenges will be addressed? Now that is the question, right? Next question is, the Netherlands was the first country in 2001 to legalize same-sex marriage. Netherlands has legalized, first country to legalize same-sex marriage. Amending one line in its civil marriage law, in some countries, the decriminalization of homosexuality was not followed for years. Why recognition of same-sex marriage? For intents in the United States and in 2022, then that is again banned. Next, okay. Now the question is regarding PDS scam. How was the Nagrik Apurti Nigam, a nodal agency of Chhattisgarh Public Distribution System, become the embroiled in scandal while the enforcement director accusations against the government? That is in Chhattisgarh. Bhupesh Baghel government is there. There is government of Bhupesh Baghel is there, right? Okay, public distribution system or PDS system. PDS system, earlier the corruption was very huge in case of PDS system. For example, if you take the example of 2026, Odisha has around 70% of its, around 65% of PDS system was lost because there is a corruption of 65%. That means only 35% of the grains were reaching to the deserving people, right? 65% corruption. Now it has almost reduced to 30% of corruption, or less than that also. So PDS system is always, in some states we have witnessed around 90% of corruption in the northeastern states and Delhi. We have witnessed 90% of corruption in the PDS system or public distribution system. Chief Justice of India D.Y. Chandrachud agreed to hear the Nagrik Apurti Nigam scams case of Supreme Court after a high-octane exchange last week between the Chhattisgarh government and the Enforcement Directorate by the scam. Okay. Now what is this non-scam? That is Nagrik Apurti Nigam. NAR is Chhattisgarh nodal agency for procuring and distribution food procuring and distribution. They procure the grains. That means the suppose farmers are producing some rice, they will purchase the rice from farmers at a higher rate, that is equal to the MSP, minimum support price, and distributing that low price to the farmers. Right, that is the job of a nodal agency. Okay. In 2015, opposition alleged that government was distributing substandard quality of grains under the PDS system. Substandard quality of grains. That means there is certain corruption with respect to the PDS system. That the opposition has alleged it. The State Anti-Corruption Bureau launched probe into the matter. While conducting raids on non-office, the agency found unaccounted for cash worth over 3 crore. So State's Anti-Corruption and found that over 3 crore money has been found in the office. It also tested the food samples of their quality, finding many samples of salt and rice unfit for human consumption. Right? It booked 27% in the case, including 2 IAS officers. Now the main accused, Anil Tuteja and Alok Shukla, the chairman and managing director of NAN, alleging that they had allowed distribution of substandard foodstuffs. Right. So that's why these two people, Alok Shukla and Anil Tuteja, over the IAS officers, they are now arrested because they are alleged, they are accused, they are booked on because they have allowed the distribution of substandard foodstuffs. The ED also started money laundering probe in this case. Charges were pressed against the officers in 2018. December 2018, the then government constituting the days of Special Investigation Team (SIT) to probe the matter again. Notably, Mr. Bhagat's administration appointed 2 accused IAS officers to the government posts in 2020, and the Chhattisgarh High Court also the 2 IAS officers now they are get appointed on the state government. They are accused in the cases, but now they get appointed in the state government again. That's why late last year ED moved to the Supreme Court seeking retrial out of the Chhattisgarh and transfer the case to CBI. Right. The enforcement director in its petition alleged that judiciary and the concurrent Chhattisgarh government were weakening the investigation. Right, judiciary and the concurrent weakening the investigation and helping the accused in the case, and asked the court to allow proof of the same. The ED alleged that the evidences revealed the nature of the misuse of the power in Chhattisgarh, saying that evidence was tampered with, witnesses are influenced, evidences are tampered, witnesses are influenced, and that could be a potential conspiracy involving constitutional functionary. And it said that men accused of had close ties with the current Chief Minister, Mr. Bhagal, close ties. So those people who are closely associated with the IAS officers, They have very good relationship with the Chief Minister Baghel, and that SIT formed by the state government made at least 7 unsuccessful attempts to stall the previous trial. The Chhattisgarh government has called ED's allegations baseless. So ED has alleged that central government there is some illegal nexus between the judiciary or the chief minister and the IAS officers, and they are misutilizing the power, and they are not proving it, and the evidences are tampered. The investigation is not getting got weakened, and the accused of the case are they are not, they are already joined, and the witnesses they are manipulated, right? So these are the changes that happened. That's why Enforcement Directorate has requested the Supreme Court to take it. Requested to take it as a Supreme Court to take the cases regarding the PDS scam for its own investigation. Okay, now Supreme Court has taken the responsibility. The retired Chief Justice of India U. Lalit, along with the Justices Ajay Rohtogi and S. Ravindra Bhatt, were hearing ED's plea but dropped the case from the court roster on October 20. Citing paucity of time before the end of the term of November 8, on November 14, the case came up before a new bench with the Justice Shah and Justice Hima Kohli. So the judges have changed because roster means allocation of the cases to a particular judge. That is called as roster, power of roster. Roster is the Supreme Court Chief Justice. So Supreme Court has the power, the Chief Justice has the power of roster. He is called as Master of Roster. Master of Roster means he has the power to allocate cases to different judges in the Supreme Court. Not all other judges have the power. And exercising his power because of his timing issues, they have allocated to new judges of the Supreme Court. However, senior advocate Kapil Sibal, appearing before the Supreme Court Chhattisgarh government, objected, saying the convention required the case to be listed either of the two associate judges that on the Justice Lalit bench. Justice Chandrachud responded that he could have constituted a bench of himself and Justice Rohtogi and what, but that would mean breaking of two separate benches presently held by two justices. On Monday, however, Justice Chandrachud agreed to constitute a bench held by himself and Justice Rohtogi and what. So now they themselves will now hear the case. About public distribution system, PDS system. Public distribution system is an Indian food security system that has evolved as a system of distributing food grains and at affordable prices and managing emergency situations. So it has food in case of emergency situation means if we have already witnessed a drought, we have severe drought in the 1960s, end of 1960s and famine in the post-independence India we already witnessed, right? So now there is chances of climate change. Climate change is happening and there is unseasonal rain are increasing. If any type of agricultural loss happens at any particular way of time, and our population has also increased a lot, so there should not be any chances of scarcity of food items that we have to ensure in India, right? Okay. So that is why PDS system is there. PDS has become important part of the government's policy in managing country food economy over the years. PDS is supplemental in nature. It is not intended to meet the entire need. It is supplemental in nature. That means it will give a support to the food security. In food, we have National Food Security Act, that is NFSA 2000, NFSA Act of 2013, National Food Security Act of 2013, by which government will grant 67% of the population, 67% of India's population will get food at a nominal price, that is 3 rupees per rice, 2 rupees per wheat and 1 rupee per coarse grains. 1 rupee per rice, 2 rupee per wheat and 3 rupees per coarse grains. That is what the PDS system it gives. Okay. PDS is managed by central and state governments, jointly by central and state governments. Food Corporation of India has assumed the responsibility of procurement, storage, transportation, and bulk allocation of food grains to the state governments. So generally, it is done by the Food Corporation of India. Both central and state governments are doing it. The operational responsibilities of the state governments include allocation within state, identification of eligible families, issuance of ration card, supervision, all these things. So this issuance of ration card, identification of eligible families, allocation to the states, and supervision of the PDS system that is given to the state government. And there is corruption. That's why now the issue is taken by the Supreme Court. Okay. Now, context of nearly 300 Kuki-Chin Mizo refugees from Bangladesh flee military insurgent conflict cross international border to Myanmar. Border into Mizoram. Nearly 300 Kuki-Chin Mizo, Kuki tribes, Chin Mizo immigrants who fled the recent conflict between the military and ethnic insurgents in the Chittagong Hill Tracts of neighboring Bangladesh have taken shelter in the Longtalai district of Mizoram. So they have taken shelters in Mizoram. They have taken shelter in Parwa village close to international border, where they are given accommodation by the local community. Some NGOs and border security forces (BSF) are providing humanitarian and aid supplied by the state government official control. So they are fled from the Bangladesh insurgent conflict. They are fled from the military. Bangladesh military has been taking action against the insurgents. Recently, Mizoram Chief Minister, that is Joram Thanga is the Mizoram Chief Minister, meeting the issue and expressed sympathy for the refugees from Kuki-Chin Mizo communities. He also announced to provide them with temporary shelter, food and other relief as per convenience of the state government. As per the convenience of the state government, temporary shelter will be provided to Kuki-Chin and Mizo communities. Okay. Chittagong Hill Tracts, CST sprawl across 13,000 km area in Khangrachari, Rangamati, Bandarban district of Bangladesh, and share boundaries with Mizoram on its eastern side, Tripura and northern side, with Myanmar and south and southeastern front. Mizoram shares 318 km long international border with Bangladesh. Mizoram is already sheltering over 30,000 refugees from Myanmar who sought refuge in the state after military coup in the Southeast Asian nation in February last year. Southeast Asian nation in February last year. It is already sheltering of 30,000 refugees from Myanmar, right? We have already Rakhine state of the Myanmar. The Rohingya Muslims has already also fled from to India. So huge challenges exist before India with respect to this. Okay. And now the issue of migrant crisis is increasing. They are also causing local conflicts. After few times, they are suppose immigrants or illegal immigrants or refugees, they are demanding their rights after a particular interval of time. There is a dearth of resources. There is scarcity of resources that is to be used, and so such type of problems are happening. Some political parties are misutilizing them by providing them suppose ration card or other cards. Such type of misutilization is also happening for vote benefits. So it's a new problem for refugee. India is becoming the refugee capital of the world. Like so many refugees are coming and staying in India, because here we can see that here it is a tradition of India to become the refugees, but India is a developing country. We have limited resources, and we do not have till now we are 15 to 20% of our population are living below poverty line. That means they are not having the basic amenities to live. They don't have shelter, they don't have state or a house, they cannot afford the basic educational requirements. So in such a situation, affording such type of huge amount of such type of huge amounts of refugees is a difficult task for country like India. Okay. Har Ghar Ganga Jal. Bihar Chief Minister has just launched an ambitious Har Ghar Ganga Jal scheme, which is 5 Ganga water will be supplied to every household at Rajgir, Nalanda district. Chief Minister Nitish Kumar has launched the scheme, right? Ambitious Har Ghar Ganga Jal scheme, right? Har Ghar Jal scheme is central government. Har Ghar Ganga Jal scheme it is Bihar government has started it. The project has been described as a lift, store, tame, treat, supply system. A 447-meter approach channel has been constructed on the right bank of the Ganga, through which water is taken to an intake well from pump house, which is powered by a dedicated electricity substation and 2 smaller transformers. Yes, it is project has been described as a lift, store, tame, treat, supply. It fast-paced 4,000 crore scheme under the government Jal Jeevan and Haryali mission. 2 districts of Nalanda and Gaya will be covered to supply of Ganga water with 4,000 crore allocation. In second phase, Ganga water will be reaching the adjoining Nawada district too. Nawada district, about 7.5 lakhs households in Nalanda, Gaya and town Bodh Gaya will start getting Ganga water from November 28. It is to be said first of the kind of the project in the country to store, treat and supply food waters of the Ganga that state receives every year during the monsoon season. So the flood waters, extra waters that will the flood waters, extra waters that will be stored and that will be processed and that will be during monsoon season to the district of Nalanda, Gaya and Nawada. The Ganga water which is now reached your household will be used for drinking water but also for bathing, cooking and everything. The groundwater level will also be maintained through this. The temples of this district and the newly opened Nalanda International University also will be getting Ganga water under the scheme, Nalanda International University. So everybody will get Ganga water, right? Har Ghar Jal Ganga scheme that is launched by the Bihar government. Sivalas scheme is one of the largest and most active volcanoes of Kamchatka having erupted. Okay, now this is what it is. Okay, Sivalas volcano. What is the Sivalas volcano? Context of Sivalas volcano, Russia's far eastern Kamchatka Peninsula. Kamchatka Peninsula is also in news. Why? Because of Sarmat 28, the ICBM, Intercontinental Ballistic Missile. The ICBM Sarmat 28 is launched from the Kamchatka Peninsula of Russia. Kamchatka is home to 29 active volcanoes. It is part of vast belt of earth known as Ring of Fire, which circles the Pacific Ocean and prone to eruptions and frequent earthquakes. Kamchatka Peninsula, it is just below the Bering Sea, just above the South China Sea and near the East China Sea, near just above the Kuril Island, that is Kamchatka Peninsula. You may see the map. According to United States of Geographical Survey (USGS), these kinds of eruption typically happen 3 and 4 times a year in Kamchatka. It usually happens. Sevelos volcano. 6 volcanoes of Russia northeast currently showing signs of increased activity, including Eurasia's highest active volcano, that is Kliushevskaya Sovka. That is Eurasia's highest active volcano. There are currents in the Eurasia regions. Sevelos is one of the largest and most active volcano in the Kamchatka, having erupted at least 60 times in the past 10,000 years. It has two main parts, Old Sevelos and Young Sevelos. Young Sevelos lies in the ancient caldera, that is called as caldera. What do you mean by caldera? It is very important for prelim. It's a large crater-like basin. This is like caldera. Let's suppose this is volcanic eruption and such type of structure will develop, that is called as caldera. Found the older part of the underworld catastrophic eruption at least 10,000 years ago. This part that has become extremely active. Domes and fumaroles. Domes are molds that in the form of accumulating lava like this. These are domes. Suppose your lava is erupting. These are domes. Fumaroles opening through which hot scopulous areas emerge. Fumaroles. Here there is the fumaroles where the hot sulfurous gases emerge. The volcano has been continuously erupting since 1999. Since 1999, volcanoes has been continuously erupting. Crisis in Darjeeling tea industry. The Tree Board of India admitted that Indian tree has not been able to establish itself globally. And that one of its key brands, Darjeeling tea, was under acute stress. Darjeeling tea was under acute stress. Okay. Darjeeling tea called as champion of teas was the first Indian product to get GI tag in 2004. Darjeeling tea, it has got champion of teas, got GI tag in 2004. Distinctive aroma and flavor. Over the past few months, lots of garden in the hills have changed hands because owners are reeling under high cost of production and other issues. The cost of production has increased and the profits are declining. That's a crisis in the Darjeeling tea industries. Threat from Nepal's gun. A report by Parliamentary Standing Committee of the Ministry of Commerce said that unhampered and easy influx of substandard tea from the neighboring countries, especially Nepal, substandard tea from the Nepal, is jeopardizing the tea industry of India. The document pointed inferior quality of tea from Nepal was being imported and then sold and re-exported as premium Darjeeling tea. That is the problem, right? They are processed. The inferior quality of tea from Nepal was being imported, then sold, and re-exported a premium Darjeeling tea. Under the revised treaty of trade between Government of India and Nepal 2009, both parties have agreed that they exempt from basic custom duties as well as from quantitative restrictions and import mutually agreed primary products. They will import mutually agreed primary products. That means Indian companies will purchase the Darjeeling teas and Darjeeling teas. The Nepal businessmen they can purchase the Indian tea as well. Nepal, which shares similar climatic conditions, the terrain produces tea at a lower price because of less input costs, particularly labor. That is, yes, labor is easily available. Pure quality checks. Even though quality is no, there is no match. Yet tea from Nepal poses a serious challenge to the Darjeeling tea. Even if there is no match between the Nepal tea and Darjeeling tea, now that is creating for that issue for the Darjeeling. The production of Darjeeling, which is used to be 10 to 12 million kg decade, now 6 to 8 million kg in 2021. So it is almost reduced by 40, almost reduced by 30%. The decline in the production is due to multiple factors, which include climate change, decline yields, high absenteeism among the workers, and also some global factors like decline in demand from European markets in the wake of Russia-Ukraine war also has increased or aggravated the problem. Because of the hilly terrain, Darjeeling, there is no land left for the expansion of tea gardens. Right? There is for expansion of tea gardens, there is no land left. The tree bushes are older than the other parts of the country. Uprooting and planting them is both time and cost intensive. So now it is a difficult task. Okay. Next, the mains question: high economic and environmental significance of mangroves, that are threats facing mangroves in India. Mangrove is a small tree or shrub that grows along the coastlines, taking a root of the salty sediments often underwater. They are referred as tidal forest. Mangroves or tidal forests they are present usually between the ecotone region. Ecotone region means when two biodiversity meets each other. Right? This is marine biodiversity and this is terrestrial biodiversity. They jointly develop in those regions. So this is ecotone region. Right? Belong to a category of tropical wetland rainforest system. India has a total mangrove cover of 4,992. For the 992 square kilometer, West Bengal has 42.45 of India's significance of mangroves. Productivity. Mangroves are among the most productive and terrestrial ecosystems and are natural, renewable source. For instance, Sundarban in Gangetic Delta supports around 30 plant species of mangroves. Mangroves are biological. For example, if you are making afforestation, that means you are planting trees. If you can plant mangroves can absorb 4 times more carbon dioxide, carbon emissions as compared to normal trees. So the biological relevance of mangroves is much more as compared to the normal trees. Economic productivity. Mangroves are among the most productive terrestrial ecosystem. And natural renewable resources. For example, Sundarbans in the Gangetic Delta supports around 30 plant species of mangroves. And natural renewable resources, right? Next, resources. They supply timber, firewood, medicinal plants, edible plants to the local people. So there are multiple relevances. Mangroves have multiple relevances. Employment. They provide numerous employment opportunities to local communities and augment their livelihood. augment their livelihoods. Ecological niche. Mangroves are providing ecological niche to variety of the organisms. They serve as breeding, feeding and nursery ground of fisheries and provide timber and wood and fuel. So it is they are relevant for multiple species also. Fishes also they grounds for fisheries, right? Fishery cultivation, all these things that are very suitable in the mangrove forest. Environmental significance. Age effect. Mangroves show age effect, which means that they have large species diversity in comparison to marine and terrestrial ecosystem. Large species diversity. Age effect means large species diversity. When two different ecosystem they join, then here age effect occurs. Age effect means higher level of biodiversity. That is carbon sink. Carbon sinks means make up less than 2% of marine environments. But they are huge carbon sinks. They can absorb huge amount of carbon. That is almost 4 times than the same amount of terrestrial trees. Coastal stabilization. They protect for soil conservation. They work for they stabilize the coastline, reducing erosion, storm surges, current waves, tides. Natural filters. Mangroves forest act as water filters, purifiers as well. They purify the water. The water from the rivers and the floodplains flow into the ocean. Mangroves filter a lot of sediments, hence protecting and coastal ecology, including coral reefs. They are protecting coastal ecology, including coral reefs. Threats mangroves facing in India: sea level rise and coastal erosion. That is a threat. Due to global warming, sea levels are continuously rising. The rising sea levels have flooded large areas of mangrove forest. This has resulted in the depletion. Commercialization of so that is rise coastal it stops. So sea level are rising. That's why coastal erosion is happening. That's why they are facing the decline. There is also commercialization of coastal areas, aquaculture, coastal development, rice and palm oil farming, industrial activities. That is deforestation because of industrial activities of the salt tolerant trees and ecosystem they support. That creates problem. Right? When you so if you are making some permitting industrial development or infrastructure development in those areas, then obviously what will happen? Obviously there will be cutting of this tree, deforestation will come. Then climate change. Usually low rainfall and very high sea surface temperatures cause threats to the survival of the mangrove forest. Pollution. Mangroves also face severe threats from fertilizers, pesticide, discharge of domestic sewage, industrial influence. All this carried out by the river system, they become a threat to the existence of the mangroves. Reduction in water levels. Mangroves are more prevalent in the areas where the rivers meet the sea. Right? Where rivers meet the sea, then they meet. As there is mangroves are the natural heritage and reduction in river water due to dams has caused the destruction of the mangroves. As we are creating dams, there is destruction of the mangroves as well. Mangroves are the natural heritage of the country, owing it varied economic and ecological significance. It needs the water to protect them and their surrounding and ensure sustainability. Right? Ensure sustainability means the amount of mangroves you are cutting for timber is also the same amount of mangroves that is getting developed over a particular amount of time. For example, in 5 years, we are cutting 500 mangroves. Then also we also see that there is 500 mangrove forest. The mangrove trees are developed in those particular time. So that is what we call as sustainability. India has also joined Mangroves Alliance for Climate (MAC). Mangroves for Future to increase international cooperation in conservation of mangroves, which should be accompanied by encouraging local community participation and adopting traditional conservation practices. So the lectures ends here, and like this video and share and subscribe to VANIK-IAS. Thank you.